Welcome to Educator.com. This lesson is about estimating for reasonableness. In this lesson, you will learn to use estimation to check for reasonableness. Applications are checking the total cost of your items before you get to the register. Vocabulary for this is compatible numbers. These are numbers that are easy to compute mentally. They may not always correspond with estimating. For example, if you were to estimate 32 divided by 7, you may estimate this to 30 divided by 10. However, in using compatible numbers, a person may also estimate this to 30 divided by 6, because 30 divided by 6 are two numbers that are easy to compute mentally. In this case, 30 divided by 10 are also, however, 30 divided by 6 may be a more accurate answer. This would be an example of compatible numbers, whereas this would be an example of estimating. Let's try estimating by rounding. The purpose of estimating is to be able to add numbers quickly for a check. Sometimes you may estimate after a problem to check that your answer is reasonable. However, if you're asked to estimate the original expression, do not add the numbers first. For example, we're asked to estimate 36 plus 61 plus 58. So I'm not going to add them and find the exact answer. I'm going to begin by estimating. 36 estimated is 40. The way that you estimate is you look at the place value underneath the number that you're estimating to. If it's 5 or larger, you estimate the number up to the next place value. For example, 6 is larger than 5, so the 3 is estimated to 40. And the next number, 61, notice that 1 is less than 5, so I will not estimate the number 6 up, but in fact keep it at 60. And then in this case, the 8 is 5 or larger, so the 5 is going to move up to 60. 40 plus 60 is one of those pairs. It creates an even 100, and then plus 60 is 160. Estimate 94 minus 35 minus 42. The 4 is less than 5, so the 9 is going to stay a 9 at 90. The 5 is 5 or greater, it's 5 in fact, so the 30 is going to estimate up to 40. And then the 2 is smaller than 5, so the 4 is going to stay. Subtract 40. Remember to also use your order of operations. So we're going to move left to right. 90 minus 40 is 50, and then 50 minus 40 is 10. Now we're going to try estimating with compatible numbers. So you need to think about numbers that are easy to work with, such as pairs that create tens, hundreds, or thousands, or numbers that are within your multiplication tables. 297 divided by 17. 297 is very close to 300, and 17 is very close to 20. And then I know that that could be an easy division problem. 20 will go into 100 5 times, so it'll go into 300 15 times. Estimate 9 times 38. Well, 9 is very close to 10, and 38 is close to 40. And 1 times 4 is 4, with 2 zeros tacked on at the end, 400. In this case, you could also estimate it 38 is close to 40 and just with 9, because multiplying by the single digit would also be easy. And 9 times 4 is 36 with the 0 tacked on to the end. Estimating for reasonableness. You buy a yard of fabric for $5.95. A spool of thread for $2.15, and a sewing pattern for $8.35. Find the total cost of the items, including a $1.25 tax. So we're going to be estimating here for reasonableness. That means at the end, we're going to check if our answer is reasonable. I'm going to take $5.95 for the fabric, add in the cost of the thread, add in the cost of the sewing pattern, and add in the cost of the tax. 5 and 5 is 10, and 5 and 5 is 10, so that's 20. 9 plus 1 is 10, and then that's 12, 15, 17. Notice that I'm adding the numbers that go together to create pairs first. For example, 8 and 2 is 10. I'll add those first. Plus 5 is 15, 16, and 17. So $17.70 is my answer. Now I'm going to estimate and see if my answer sounds reasonable. $5.95 is about $6, $2.15 is about $2, $8.35 is about $8, and $1.25 is about $1. So the 8 and the 2 gives me 10, and then the 6 and the 1 would give me 7. So 10 plus 7 is $17. And yes, my answer looks reasonable. Remember that you went a little lower on this price, a little lower on this price, and a little lower on this price. So that's why the overall price was more than your estimation. But 17 is very close to $17.70. So that tells me that my first initial answer was reasonable. This is a very good tool for checking your work. Estimate 665 divided by 53 using compatible numbers. So by compatible numbers, they want me to find two numbers that will divide evenly and easily. 665 is very close to 650, and 53 is very close to 50. So I know that those two can divide very easily. And 5 goes into 65 13 times, and there's your answer. So notice that when you choose two numbers that are easy to work with, you can find your answer quickly. If they had just said to estimate, perhaps you would have estimated this number to 670 and this number to 53, which would not have given you an easy number such as 13. So this would just be estimating, and this is estimating using compatible numbers. And once again, the benefit of using compatible numbers is that you can compute the numbers mentally usually. Estimate 804.6 plus 597.3. So 804.6 is about 800, and 597.3 is about 600. And that is about 1,400 for the two of these. You need $49.95 to buy a new video game. You earn $9.75 one week and $23.50 the next week. About how much more do you need to earn to buy the game? Now be very careful in the word problem. It says about how much more do you need. So they don't even need you to find an exact answer. They're expecting you to estimate before you perform the operations. So let's take $49.95 and estimate that. Remember that you look at the number under the place value to decide whether the number is going to increase or stay the same. 9 is 5 or larger, so I know that I'm going to estimate this to $50. And that's what I need to buy a new video game. I earn $9.75 in 1 week, and $9.75 will estimate me of having about $10. And then $23.50 the next week, if I estimate, will be about $24. So far I've earned $10 in 1 week and $24 the next week, about. So let's add those two values. 24 and 10 gives me $34. About how much more do you need to earn to buy the game? So let's take the $50 and subtract 34. 10 minus 4 is 6, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So you'd need $16 more. In some cases, $50 minus 35, leaving $15, is also an acceptable answer. When the question asks for about how much, there's usually leeway of $1 or $2. So in this case, we estimated to $34, but perhaps 35 is an easier number to work with. So either an answer of $16 or $15 would be acceptable. You buy a hat for $11.95, a sweatshirt for $23.75, and a pair of sneakers for $56.95. The total comes to $92.65. Is this reasonable? Well, they don't want the exact answer. They just want to see if we estimated, does it sound right? This may happen to you in real life when you go to pay for items and you want to check, does the price sound reasonable? So $11.95 for the hat could estimate to about $12. $23.75 could estimate to about $24. And the sneakers for $56.95 could estimate to about $57. Now let's add this up and check. I have 11, 12, 13, and that's going to be 7, 8, 9. $93. Yes, that's very close to $92.65. So the total of $92.65 sounds reasonable. We could say yes. Thank you for watching educator.com.